I'm Dwayne Hamby, Patheos.com.
Hey,
Hey,
Dwayne.
Justin, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to talk to you about this movie. It's
Thank you.
very well done. Just finished it last night. Was very familiar with the story. Probably not in the as much in the weeds as the film goes into, but definitely kept track of it. Um, Tell me a little bit about why it's been a project that you wanted to tackle for so long.
Yeah, I think when the news broke in 2018, I was at the airport, and when I saw it on the screen, I had a very strong reaction to it, and and it wasn't until I saw the banners that John Allen Chow, 26 years old, it really kind of struck me that that's somebody's son, that's somebody's brother, and I was so quick to judge and dismiss and move on, and it didn't sit well with me. And it wasn't until I read Alex Perry's article where he got to connect with John through the father, Patrick, that it really moved me. And it just stayed with me. And I thought, at that point, I think it was around 22, it was 20 years for me as a filmmaker. And I decided I wanted to just take a break and try to, challenge myself and see if I can bring the story to life, in a way where um, I'm not judging, I'm not trying to change your mind. I just want to get a better understanding and hopefully connect with John's humanity. And so that was the kind of the whole, journey to just even get to the starting line.
What has been the response from people who are close to John, if they've seen it or if they've seen, had any involvement in it at all, or has it just been detached from them?
Um, when I signed up and worked with Ben on the script, obviously Alex Perry, who had connection with Patrick, he's been a huge resource, and so I worked a lot with Alex. Early on, out of respect to the family, we did reach out and see if they wanted to be involved, and very quickly he declined. So we wanted to kind of respect that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I understand that. Well, I like what you said because I caught it while I was watching it that it's not judgy. It's authentic. The viewer can walk away with what they feel like were motivations or what was in his heart or whatever. But I appreciate the fact that you depicted him as devout. He wasn't trying to take advantage of anybody. This is he was being true to what he believed, right?
Yeah, I think, we went through, obviously, like with anything, trying to understand him, he left a lot of his writing, his Instagram posts. It was all there to share, and it was a conscious effort. So I think as a human being, my first reaction, of course, is like, oh, did it really happen? And I realized very quickly that that's not the exercise. The exercise is that he was the storyteller. Why did he choose to share these stories and how? And so I think it was a really interesting because even doing that, there was these huge gaps. And so for me, I felt like, well, he was obviously very influenced by kind of adventure novels and Hollywood films. And so, the decision early on was to say, let's honor in the spirit of what he said happened, but there's still these big gaps. Can we then use the process of storytelling, of using certain kind of elements from genre and filmmaking? That's something I can relate to John as a storyteller. And can we connect that? And by connecting that, find his humanity or connect with his humanity.
Right. Well, obviously, as a filmmaker, the first thing you want to do is be true to the story and tell a very compelling story. You've done that.
Thank you.
Sometimes a byproduct is a filmmaker may have something that they feel like the audience will walk away with. Do you have that with this film? Do you feel like there are things that the audience might glean from this?
I think that the one thing is, I know it's very polarizing. I think even if you go online right now, John's story is it's very quickly, it's boom. And I hope they walk away knowing that, that's a human being,
Right.
and there's layers and it's fragile. Like that's what makes our journey so fascinating, all of us. And if we can maybe take a little time, take a beat to connect, as opposed to judge, and to hopefully have dialogue. I think to me, I feel like I miss that in a lot of the films I'm seeing, and I hope that we can do our small part in being able to kind of connect people.
Oh yeah, on a human level. Uh,
Yes.
yeah. Um, One of the things that struck me is, as I'm watching it, you think, well, he's definitely driven by faith, and he's a very fallen person. But as a person of faith myself, I know the Bible's full of those type of people. So he fits right in. It's not like, oh, he's a fraud or a phony. There's a lot of people that if you put their life up on a big screen, they would look like they're frauds or phony because they had
Mm.
a moment of weakness or doubt or lack of faith, and yet, what I see in your film is that his heart was pure, and his, he was driven by that mission.
Yeah, and when I hear you say that, I gotta also give Sky so much credit.
Oh
I think
yeah,
I would say that I think writing the script, developing the script for 2 years was one thing, but having enough trust to let him go and like really explore John and find John. To me, without that, we wouldn't have this film. For him to fully commit, and I'm so proud of him, and I feel lucky. Now he was able to kind of join me and all of us on this journey of making the film.
he's definitely a star on the rise. I mean, for sure. You just he conveys so much even before he speaks. His face is the joy or the ambition or whatever you can see in his eyes there. Is there any
Yeah.
questions about the film that nobody's asked you? Anything, any aside or something that nobody's touched on?
Um, I'm just, it's been a really interesting process as a filmmaker because a lot of times I feel like, you feel pressure to have to say, here's my worldview. Here's how you should think. And I think that was not this. And I think, I wanted to make a film where, yes, John's going to have a very specific worldview, but he's going to meet other characters with different worldviews in his journey. And so I'm trying really hard to kind of listen more than talk in this process. So I really appreciate any conversation. And we were lucky enough to go to Sundance where they would have Q&As after screenings. And I was so it was so kind of fulfilling to see that there was some very different reactions to this film. But as we went on with the Q&A, like 10 minutes in, you realized they were able to kind of find common bridge to kind of
Right.
connect. So that was very, I was very grateful for that.
I was surprised in the movie the reaction from the girl he was connected with. I mean, she had such an extreme reaction to it that just kind of superseded any other kind of feeling she had for him. It was like, okay, that's it. That's a point of no return or whatever. So yeah, very polarizing.
Yeah, yeah, and I would say Marnie, who plays Melanie, she, again, you know, that character didn't have a lot of real estate, but kind of working with her, and for her to really kind of delve in and kind of make sure that that's not just a point of view that's going to be presented in a film, but that it is lived in and something that it was, when it happened, it was kind of part of that character, and so again, I'm very grateful for this amazing cast.
Yeah. Do you, when you were making this film, did you miss the smell of exhaust and loud loud engines revving or anything like that? This is so far removed from the world that you've been living in for so long.
Yeah, I don't miss any. I feel like I've been very fortunate. I started off in the indie world, and I didn't grow up wanting to make big action movies. And it was just something
Right.
that I think I've been lucky. That little, that small credit card movie opened up the doors, and I just wanted to go try things and find myself. And I blink, and it's 20 years. Now it's 23 years, and
Yeah.
I don't. I just again, we were. I'll share this with you. We're shooting in Thailand, and in the middle, actually, the shots in the movie. It's a close up of John when he was talking to Chandler and Kayla, and in Thailand, we were hitting monsoon season, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the shot, I see a light fly off because the wind was so strong. And then Sky wouldn't break character, so I wouldn't call cut. And we just kept going. And another light flies off. The rain just comes in, and it's a force. And I remember thinking there, I just lost 3 sets across town. It's going to be washed away. And my first instinct, I thought it would be fear, but I actually was grateful for the people that was on the journey with me. And I think that says, you kind of, that defines kind of like this film and my journey is that ultimately, it's I'm grateful people will give me 2 hours of their lives to watch a film, but for me, I'm living this, and it's the people around me that help define what success is.
Very good. Thank you. It's so great to connect with you today.
Thank you so much.